Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Donna Fiesel, and I'm your host of Donna's Edge Talk Show, where truth matters. Thank you so much for watching every day, Monday through Friday, beginning at 1 p.m. That's Central Time, as I get to ride home with you in the afternoon. It's always a pleasure. Thank you so much for sending emails. Absolutely adore those. You can continue sending emails to Donna at donnasedge.com, Donna at donnasedge.com. Don't forget, you can find us on television, syndicated on Abundance Television, found on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire. Don't forget the podcast on thenewscasters.com. If it's social media, we're doing that as well. I love social media. So you can go directly to facebook.com/D Fiesel to spell my name, D Fiesel. You'll be able to pull us up that way. We're on X, we're on whatever it is. For social media, we're doing it. Again, thank you so much for being with us. I have Blake Mattocks with me right now. And Blake, and I'm looking at your website right now. It's 365christianmen.com. We've got a lot of new listeners who didn't hear you the last time you were on the show. So let's talk about what you do. What's it all about?
Yeah, great. Donna, thank you again for having me on the show. 365 Christian Men started in 2018 with a vision from an entrepreneur who at the time had 2 sons in high school, 2 in college, and he wanted to inspire them to follow the Lord and run the race that God had set out for them. So we set out to build this project on Hebrews 12:1. It says we're surrounded by a great cloud of witnesses that have run the race. Now we're running that race. And the way we wanted to do that was we wanted to capture stories about historical and modern day men and write those stories, primarily single event stories in a man's life. We did not want them to be biographies or autobiographies because we wanted them to be short. We knew that men would give us about 10 minutes a day. And so we have a story for every day of the year, which is 10 minutes or less. And it is a story, as I said, about a historical or modern day man, and has a challenge, 1 to 3 minute challenge at the end of that story, 1 to 3 minute challenge or call to action by a man on what we call our challenge team.
How important is it, Blake, to speak our story? You know, sometimes I'll have a story and I think, well, that's not important to anybody else. Who's going to get any feed from that? Is everybody's story unique, and is it important?
Not only is it unique and important, but it needs to be shared and it needs to be told. I heard a man say years ago, history has to be lived before it can be recorded. Jesus was the master storyteller, and he modeled for us ministry. And his ministry was primarily around the storytelling model. So I think our story matters. I think one of the strategies of the enemy is to try to convince us that our story doesn't matter, or that it's less important than somebody else's story, because that will keep us from sharing it. And so what we try to do is we try to encourage people with powerful stories about what God has done in people's lives, but primarily to remind them that their story is just as important and matters just the same.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Sometimes we have to go through things. My parents were in the ministry and got a divorce. And that was a shocker, that my parents would get a divorce. Everybody thought we had the perfect home, but it wasn't perfect inside the home. And so I said that to say this. I thought, well, oh, God, you're just really beating us up about this. God letting this happen, God this, God that. And I was blaming God for it, and God had absolutely nothing to do with it. So, but my question was, why am I having to go through this? Years later, I have another friend. We thought her family life was perfect. Her parents get a divorce. She's coming to me for advice.
Yeah.
And I said, why would you want my advice? And she said, because you had to go through this.
Yeah.
And I was able to, no, it's going to be tough. I mean, it's going to be really rough. You're going to think the whole world's against you, storytelling and all that kind of stuff going on, things that are not true. And so I was able to help her.
Yeah.
And so then at that moment, I discovered, well, that's why I had to experience this. Experiences help tell stories and truths.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, who better to help somebody in crisis than somebody that's walked through that crisis? You're going to have a perspective that somebody that's not walked through it could never have. And so I think that's how God's economy works. He connects people relationally who have experienced pain or trauma and walked through it to help others who are in the midst of the pain and trauma.
The ministry is worldwide, and you've been able to help a lot of folks throughout the world. How's that going?
Yeah, thank God for that. I mean, again, it's a testimony of God's faithfulness. The power of story bridges denominational lines, religious, cultural, demographics. We're in a little over 100 countries now. And God's given us ministry opportunities in Pakistan, India, the Philippines, and other countries where we are seeing such a hunger for the Lord and the Word of God, and giving us ministry opportunities. I was just sharing with Donna right before we jumped on the call that I found out last week while I was in Dallas at the NRB that in India, it costs families to send their children to school. And if they don't have the money, they can't send their children to school. But also found out that with the purchase of a cow or a buffalo, those families can sell the milk and actually support their families and send their children to school. It's mind-boggling to me to think that for $200, the purchase of an animal sent to India, you can help a family get out of illiteracy. Just incredible to think about. And those are the kind of doors and opportunities that God is opening up for 365 all around the world.
Oh, absolutely. I think that's incredible. So, and we'll talk about this a little bit later in this particular segment, that so a person could actually donate money, and that would help some folks. How would you do that? How do you donate?
Yeah, actually, you can go anywhere on our website or on our app. You can click on the link to give, and that money comes to us. We're a nonprofit. And so then we make sure that those resources get in the right hands. Not long ago, we were able to purchase a cow for our ministry partner in Pakistan, and he sent us progressive pictures on how the cow is growing. And so one of the things that we love to do is when people do support us, is we like to show them within days where their money is going and what their money is making. And we're able to do that.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. What are some common denominators we have with people in Pakistan? I mean, you think that's another part of the world. Anything common?
Yeah, I think what is common is that the issues that we all face in life are very similar. It is very helpful for people in the West to see what happens around the world, because we are so sheltered and we are so fortunate in the West. We gather every Saturday with our church family in Pakistan and we do a service. They are on a dirt floor with smiles on their faces, dealing with the weather conditions, whether it's unbearable heat or bitter cold, and they are grateful. And so I think one of the things that we have in common as Christ followers is we love God. And we want to pursue God, and we want to know God. We see that across the globe, and that's an exciting thing.
How do the folks in Pakistan view us as Americans?
That's a good question. I think they see us as privileged. They see us as having all of the answers. One of the things that we've realized with 365 is that the world looks at the West as having it all figured out. And they have such a hunger for God. We are creating pathways for people in the West to be able to minister around the world. And the simplicity of what we have shared around the world goes beyond what we can say to help people around the world. In other words, when you share what God has done in your life as somebody from the West with somebody in Pakistan or around the world, you literally see the transformation in their hearts and in their minds while you're having that conversation. It's amazing. It's remarkable.
It's neat to visit other countries. Phil, my husband, and I went on a trip to South Uganda, Africa, missionary trip, and stayed there for almost 3 weeks. What I found is they're much smarter than we are. And what I'm saying, we take so much for granted. There's so many things they don't take for granted. I've noticed the people, the husbands and wives, seem to be happier than the average family, I would say, in America, because they didn't have so much stuff. Yeah. You know, we clutter our minds with stuff. I know we just moved to a different state. I didn't know we had so much stuff. And I think that clutters our minds sometimes.
Oh, I would agree with you. I think the secret is in what Paul said. I've learned the secret of being content. Paul said that from prison, whether well-fed or hungry, whether having plenty or want, I've learned that secret. You know, we recently were able to dig a well for our friends in Pakistan. And until we did that, they were having to travel twice a day, almost 2 miles one way to get water for their village. Now that they don't have to do that, they have those several hours back in their hands. and they immediately go to another project or something that here in the West we would take for granted. I need water, I turn the faucet on. They needed water, they had to travel. It's a totally different mindset.
Oh, yeah. Just a few things we take for granted. Okay, so I speak English. Okay, and just I think I'm all that because I can speak English. I'll have to tell you something. The people in South Uganda spoke English and Swahili. There's something to say about people who can speak two languages.
Yeah, that is true. Our friends in Pakistan who speak Urdu are teasing us all the time about learning because they're working hard to learn English. And several of them have it, and they respond to us in English. And of course, it's their second language, but they work hard to try to learn another language. We don't.
Because they want to communicate.
Yeah.
And communications is not. Do you find it difficult though? A new person coming into a ministry, how do you communicate with someone who speaks a different language?
Yeah, that I think is one of the certainly modern day challenges for us. Fortunately, a lot of the people that are leading these ministries have learned and almost mastered the English language, and primarily because it again is what they realize as a resource to be able to connect them to the world. For example, our India partners who I met with in Dallas last week at the NRB, we want to translate the videos that we have. We currently have translated them into Southern India language or dialect, which is Tamil. We're reaching about 9 to 11 million people a day. What we want to do now is we want to translate those videos into Hindi. Hindi is the most spoken language in India, some in Europe and some in Australia, with approximately 40 million people speaking the language. And the beautiful thing about that is, instead of using AI to translate the videos, we're going to connect with families who speak both English and Hindi so that we can support families in India. So for $30 per video, we can translate one of the 365 stories into Hindi with a potential audience of 30 to 40 million people. And we do a couple things. We reach 30 to 40 million people, but more importantly, we're able to support a local family in India that wouldn't have a means to make money.
Absolutely. And let's talk a little bit about that. Because let's go into a commercial break first, but let's talk about income and how we can help folks with income when we come back. We'll be right back in just a minute. Everybody hang in there. Twin City Used Car Sales has been serving drivers in the Northeast Alabama area for years with a quality selection of late model used cars, SUVs, and pickup trucks. On top of our extensive selection and competitive prices, we offer professional auto financing services for used car buyers of all credit levels. Whether you've just begun your search or you're ready to secure your next vehicle, at Twin City Used Car Sales, you will drive away with the vehicle of your dreams. The sales and finance staff at Twin City Used Car Sales looks forward to serving you, and you can apply for financing online before your visit to our used dealership in Gadsden, Alabama. Check us out on the web at twincityusedcars.com or go by our location at 901 First Avenue, Gadsden, Alabama. We sincerely look forward to serving you. At Lamone's Mexican Restaurant, located in Henniger, Alabama, and voted Best Mexican Restaurant of DeKalb County, Alabama 2020, we're here to serve you with authentic Mexican cuisine. Order easily online by going to lamonsmex.com or call 256-657-3999 to place your order. We're open Sunday through Thursday, 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. and Friday and Saturday, 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. Whether you're celebrating a cozy date night for two or a celebration for a crowd, at Lamone's you'll love our atmosphere and friendly servers. Thank you for dining with Lamone's Mexican Restaurant. At Liberty Bank, we're all about community, whether it's to help with a charity fundraiser or help families in need. Toys at Christmas or a local football team, we're here for you. You see, we realize the importance of family. Sometimes it's to build a new home or necessary home repairs. We're here for you. If you like the feel of a small town bank with all the conveniences of a big city bank, we're here to serve you. You will find us at any of our convenient locations in DeKalb, Marshall, Etowah, and Blount counties in North Alabama. You can call and speak with any of our friendly staff at 256-659-2175 or check us out on the web at libertybankal.com. And thank you for your support of our community. Member FDIC Equal Housing Lender.
I'm excited to announce our Christmas extravaganza is finally here. Get this season's flannel sheets for as low as $59.98. They won't last long, so get them while you can. Our famous My Slippers, they haven't been on sale for over a year. Regularly $119.98, now only $59.98. Our 6-piece towel sets are back in stock with extremely limited quantities, only $29.98. With hundreds of MyPillow products, there's something for everyone on your Christmas list. Bathrobes, duvets, quilts, down comforters, and so much more. So go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to save on all MyPillow products. For example, flannel sheets for as low as $59.98, or our 6-piece towel sets, just $29.98. But that's not all. I'm extending our 60-day money-back guarantee until March 1st of 2025. Plus, all orders over $75 or more ship absolutely free.
The only place I buy my beef is Lone Tree Ranch in Collinsville, Alabama. Their cattle is born and raised on their ranch, grass and grain fed, and you can feel confident when you serve your family and friends because their beef is all natural and no antibiotics or hormones are added. You can buy whole beef or perhaps go in with family or friends and buy half. Their customer service is number one as they take care of the delivery to their local processor and can deliver to your home for a small added fee. They also offer herd replacement heifers. I always call Lone Tree Ranch in Collinsville, Alabama for my beef specialty recipes and cookouts, and you can too. Food shortages are increasing, so buy local by calling 256-523-6462. That's 256-523-6462. We're back. My name is Donna, and I'm your host of Donna's Edge Talk Show, where truth matters. I wish we had a whole lot more time with Blake. And maybe we need to make it an hour show next time, Blake. So we're talking about in Pakistan, you know, a lot of times we'll watch things on the news and we think that's how it is. You know, are you finding the people are more peaceful than what we've seen through news edits and that kind of thing?
Yeah, that is really a great question. So obviously Pakistan, if we're talking about Pakistan, primarily Muslim country, but one of the beautiful things that we're seeing is that this Christian community that we're working with in Pakistan has a pastor and a local community of people. We recently were able to start a sewing machine ministry in Pakistan. For $68, we were able to buy a sewing machine and we hired a tutor. And the beautiful thing about that is God is using that opportunity to build bridges from Christian to Muslim, because the Christians are learning how to sew so they can help support their families, but they're reaching out to the Muslims to help them learn a trade as well in sewing. And through that, God is opening the door to bring Christians and Muslims together. They wouldn't come together normally under a religious umbrella, but under this umbrella, they're coming together, and the Christians are able to minister to the Muslims. It's a beautiful thing we're seeing.
Oh, absolutely. And there's something about sewing. I know I sew. My mother was a seamstress. And so I can sew. There's something, it gives you some kind of I don't know, you feel peaceful. You're making something, you're putting something together, you're helping other people. I'm spot on about that. That is great. How are you guys educating and helping people other ways to earn income, to protect their families?
Yeah, great question. So recently we purchased audio Bibles for Pakistan, the people that cannot speak English, only speak Urdu, or are illiterate. So we were able to, for $8, purchase one audio Bible, which is the entire Bible on audio in Urdu. So we're educating people. part of what needs to happen before people can really monetize themselves is they need to be educated. So we're getting the Bible in people's hands, and then whether it's through the sewing ministry or whether it's through the Sunday school classes, we're paying for tutors, we're paying for teachers. All of these things are doors that God is opening up and opportunities for us to help people not only get educated, but to get themselves out of poverty and out of illiteracy so that they can become self-sustaining.
Mm-hmm. You know, something I noticed about South Uganda, the people didn't even know they were in poverty. Yeah. They didn't know. Do you have that same mindset in Pakistan?
Yeah, we really do. I mean, people live in community. You know, they live together, multiple generations under one roof, mm-hmm. and they just make it happen. Another thing that we recently found out in Pakistan is that if you have an injury or an accident and need to go to the hospital, until you pay for that, you don't get the procedure done. We had a young man who was part of our congregation who was shot and robbed after cashing his check. He was shot in the leg, compound fracture in his leg. You'll see in Pakistan many young people in wheelchairs or on crutches, and the reason for that is because they've had an accident or an injury, and because they cannot pay for the surgery, they are crippled as young people. Mm-hmm. We were able to pay for this man's surgery, a compound fracture. We were able to pay for this man's surgery and help him get on his feet for $400. So this man had a life-changing surgery. He's 22 years old. He's fully functioning again, back to work. He would have been crippled for his whole life, but for $400, we were able to literally change a person's life. And so part of the reason that we're trying to communicate these things to people is for such a small amount of money, from the West perspective, we can literally change the globe. We can change people around the world for $20, $30, $40, $50 a month.
What about irrigation for farming?
Yeah.
Are there issues there?
Yeah, that's another thing. That's another thing that we're just getting into with people in Pakistan and India who are starting churches and helping people get self-sustaining. I found out a lot more about farming and agriculture with our India partnership when I met with them in Dallas last week, and just the practical things that we can do to help people become self-sufficient are very doable with just a small amount of money.
Mm-hmm. Seeds. Things I've learned from some of my farmers. And, by the way, farmers to me are the smartest people on earth, and because they got it together. But you can have seeds for centuries. And as a matter of fact, in some of the tombs, the pyramids, they've actually uncovered seeds, planted some of those seeds, and they're still generating.
Isn't that incredible?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's incredible. So I'm pretty sure they have ways that have been brought down from generation to generation to generation. What are some of the things you guys are learning from them based on old techniques?
Yeah, you know, if we will posture ourselves in humility, we will learn so much about their culture. For example, our young pastor is just now, he's 24 years old, and he is just now getting engaged. And he described for us the other day how engagement works. The girl that he's getting engaged to, he's never met. But what happens is the families who know their children better than anybody meet one another, and they discuss and they share about their children, and then these matriarchs and patriarchs in the family connect the children. You don't hear about divorce rates and things in countries like Pakistan and India, like the United States. And a lot of it is the children are uninvolved in the bringing of the children together. This is fascinating.
That's interesting.
Oh, the simplicity of the way that they walk this out in Pakistan was fascinating for us. We just learned about it last week. Yeah.
I've heard a lot of people in the States say most people in America do get married because of lust, not love. You fall in lust with somebody. Yeah. And so that cuts all of that out.
It really does. Alili was describing to us how nobody knows him better than his mother and father, and knows his gifts and his talents and his aspirations. And for him, his parents, to sit down with the parents of his bride-to-be who know her better than anybody, they bring this to the table, and they're able to decide among the four of them, if this is a good fit for their children. And it's just the simple things that you can learn from other countries, if you're open to it, is amazing.
I think it's really interesting because what we do as a whole in the United States, we've been fed this, I think it's a bunch of lies, where you let kids be themselves, let them be them, let them find themselves. That's a huge mistake. I mean, if I had tried to find myself, I would be in the gutter somewhere. I mean, I had to have guidance, and thank God I had wonderful grandparents who helped guide me. But we're don't correct them. Let them go their own way. And I'm telling you, I love that idea. My son had been engaged 2 times before he met the right one. Mm-hmm. I found myself not saying anything to him, even though I've met the girls, tried to like them, but they were just not, I could see it not working out. Yeah. But I didn't say anything to him. Mm. Naturally, they wind up breaking up. So he does meet all I could do was pray for him. It's just like, God, please let him find the right one.
Amen.
And he did. He got the right one.
Praise the Lord.
There are so many things we can learn from other countries. It's that we don't know it all here in the United States.
Well, and I think the thing that we lose sight of is this, that we are all part of God's family. And although oceans and demographics and miles separate us now, there's going to come a time when we will not be separated. We'll all be together in eternity with God. So the beautiful thing right now is that with technology, we're able to build bridges. We're on a Zoom call every Saturday with our Pakistani family and having a church service. And you don't have to get on an airplane. You don't have to fly there. And it's a beautiful thing because we learn about them and their culture. They learn about us and our culture, and we're connecting. And so for your listeners, if they're interested in learning more about what we're doing around the world with 365, how they can partner with us, how they can get involved in purchasing cows or buffalo or helping dig wells or any of that, we would love to connect them around the world with our ministry partners.
Absolutely. A little bit under 2 minutes left in this segment. Let's talk a little bit more about the website, how folks can get in contact with you.
Yeah, I think the best way to contact us is certainly through the website. Everything about 365 is on 365christianmen.com. The other thing is the app. We created an app because we're in over 100 countries, same name. We have it on iOS and Android. The beautiful thing about the app is you'll find out a lot about what we're doing, what our vision is, what our biblical foundation is, the ministries that are happening around the world. So I would really encourage people to download the app. The daily stories are on the website. They're on the app. They're on all the streaming platforms, but we're out there kind of like what you described in the beginning with you, Donna. We try to get out there on every platform we can to let people know we're out there.
Absolutely. I wanted to invite everybody to please share this show. We need to get that word out. When you're watching this, go ahead and share it, whatever your way is. Thank you, Blake, so much for being with us on the show. We're turning into good friends. I'm going to tell you what, I love your insight. I really do. And I love you guys too. Thank you so much for watching. Again, share this. Go on ahead and send emails to Donna at donnasedge.com. Continue doing that. Really makes my day, by the way. Donna at donnasedge.com. You take care, and we'll see you a little bit later.
Are you ready?
We all wonder what tomorrow will bring, but the future lays itself at the feet of the prepared and surrenders to the will of the persistent. It's not easy, but today shapes you so you can shape tomorrow. With Northeast Alabama Community College, when the future asks if you're ready, you can answer
yes.
Begin your future at Northeast Alabama Community College.